Ladies, let me tell you something that most people will never say out loud, but every strong woman eventually learns on her own. Silence is one of the most powerful tools you will ever have in love, dating, and relationships. Not arguments, not explanations, not chasing, not begging someone to see your worth. Silence. A woman's silence is not empty. It's full of meaning. It's full of boundaries. It's full of truth. And when used the right way, silence can make a man stop, think, and realize what he's about to lose. Because men don't fear loudness. Men don't fear anger. Men don't fear long speeches. But what shakes a man, what grabs his attention, what makes him step back and look in the mirror is when the woman he's used to hearing suddenly becomes quiet. That silence hits different. It makes him reflect. It makes him evaluate. It makes him feel, because silence has a way of exposing everything he thought he could ignore. It forces him to see the parts of himself he didn't want to face. And most importantly, it reveals whether he truly values you or just enjoyed the comfort of having you around. This is not about manipulation. This is not about playing games. This is about shifting the energy back to you, your self-worth, your peace, your emotional power. Because when a woman stops over-explaining and starts observing, that's when a man realizes she is not a woman he can play with. She is a woman he must show up for. So today, we're diving into the 6 types of silence that don't just get a man's attention. They make him addicted, invested, and awakened to the reality that you are a woman he needs to step up for or lose forever. Rule number 1, the I'm not chasing you silence. Ladies, let me break this down in a way that every man in the back can hear it clearly. Nothing hits a man harder. Nothing wakes him up faster. Nothing rips that comfort out of his chest more brutally than when a woman who used to chase him suddenly goes silent. And I don't mean attitude silent, not rolling your eyes silent, not I'm mad, but I want you to figure it out silent. I'm talking about the silence that comes from pure, calm self-respect. That silence that says, you know what? I'm done convincing you of my value. If you don't see it, then you're going to feel it. See, men get too comfortable. We really do. When a woman is always texting first, always checking in, always asking, are you okay? Did you eat? When can I see you? Do you miss me? We start thinking that attention is guaranteed. It becomes routine. It becomes background noise. And when something becomes background noise, a man stops appreciating it. That's just how we're wired. But the moment that noise stops, oh, trust me, we hear everything. Your silence becomes the loudest alarm he's ever experienced. It's like walking into a room and suddenly the TV is off, the fan is off, the phone is off, everything is just quiet. That silence forces a man to think. And ladies, let me tell you something. Men are terrified of thinking because thinking makes him face himself. Thinking reveals what he messed up, and thinking makes him realize just how much he took your presence for granted. When a woman stops chasing, it flips the entire dynamic because men have egos bigger than stadiums. And when you're chasing, whether you mean to or not, you're feeding that ego. Every text you send first, ego food. Every time you check in and he doesn't, ego food. Every time you adjust your schedule for him while he gives you crumbs, ego food. But when you suddenly stop providing that ego buffet, he starves. And when a man's ego starts starving, he starts scrambling. That's when he begins doing what he should have been doing all along, initiating. He starts sending those good morning texts he couldn't remember before. He starts asking when he can see you. He starts noticing your social media more than usual. He starts wondering where you are, who you're with, and why you're not thinking about him the way you used to. You want a man to realize your value? Stop reminding him of it. Silence does that work for you. And it's not even about playing hard to get. It's about no longer handing your energy to someone who hasn't earned it. A woman's attention is power. A woman's presence is value. A woman's effort is gold. And when you give all that away too easily, too freely, without making sure it's being reciprocated, you train a man to believe you'll always be there no matter how little he gives. Silence retrains him. Silence says, I'm not investing where I'm not being valued. Silence says, I know what I bring and I'm not giving it away for free anymore. Silence says, you want access? Earn access. Now here's the part most women don't realize. When a man is used to your effort, your chase, your attention, and suddenly it disappears, it doesn't just make him curious, it makes him insecure. It makes him question himself. And men don't like questioning themselves. It bothers us deep. He starts wondering, did she find someone else? Did she lose interest? Was I slipping? Did I push her away? That silence makes him evaluate his behavior, his effort, his words, everything. And that's the moment he starts realizing what he had and what he might lose. Your silence forces him to feel what he didn't feel when you were giving. A man rarely values the water while the faucet is running. But turn it off, suddenly he realizes he's thirsty. Suddenly he wants a drink. Suddenly he wants that same love, that same warmth, that same attention. But now he's got to work for it. And that's where the addiction forms, because effort creates attachment. Men don't bond through receiving, they bond through doing. Your silence pushes him into action, and action makes him invest. And once he invests, he's hooked. So when you pull back, when you stop chasing, when your silence takes the place of your effort, he doesn't just notice it, he feels it deeply, emotionally, psychologically. And that, ladies, is what makes him addicted. Because the woman who once chased him now stands out of reach. And the moment she stops running toward him, he starts running toward her. Rule number 2, the I won't argue with you silence. Ladies, let me tell you something every woman on earth deserves to understand. When you stop arguing with a man, you don't lose power, you gain it. You don't look weak, you look wise. You don't look checked out, you look chosen by peace. Because a man never fears the woman who yells, but he absolutely fears the woman who gets quiet. You see, men are used to chaos. We grow up around noise, locker rooms, competitive energy, egos, shouting matches, debates. Men get comfortable in conflict. But what a man is not ready for is silence, especially the silence of a woman he knows loves him. That silence hits different. That silence shakes a man. That silence makes him sit there looking around like, hold up. Something is off. Something is wrong. Something changed. And that's exactly the moment he starts thinking. When you argue with a man, he gets defensive. He gets loud. He shuts down. He tries to win. Men argue like it's a sport. We want the last word. We want the knockout punch. We want to be right. But when you stop arguing, when you stop trying to prove your point, when you stop battling just to be understood, that shuts the whole game down because you remove the only opponent he knew how to fight. Your silence says more than any argument ever could. It says, I'm not lowering myself to chaos. It says, I don't need to scream for my worth to be seen. It says, I respect myself too much to fight for someone who should already know how to treat me. And that message is loud. And nothing humbles a man faster than a woman who refuses to raise her voice. Let me break it down like this. When you argue, he hears noise. When you go silent, he hears truth. Silence makes him rewind the entire conversation in his mind. It makes him hear his own tone, his own words, his own attitude. It makes him realize how he showed up and how you didn't match that energy. It forces him to sit with the consequences of his behavior without you cushioning it with explanations, justifications, or emotional labor. And trust me, that discomfort, that quiet guilt, that internal reflection, that's what wakes a man up. That's what grows him up. That's what makes him look in the mirror and say, I shouldn't have talked to her like that. I shouldn't have dismissed her feelings. I shouldn't have reacted that way. Your silence pushes him into maturity in a way your voice never could. Men miss the peaceful woman, not the argumentative one. They miss the calm presence, the kindness, the softness, the femininity. But when he pushes you to the point where you have to protect your peace with silence, that's when he realizes he's losing access to that softness. And nothing scares a man more than losing the gentle side of the woman he cares about. This type of silence isn't passive. It's powerful. It's controlled. It's intentional. You're not ignoring him. You're choosing your mental health. You're not giving up. You're guarding your peace. You're not walking away. You're stepping back so he feels the weight of his own actions. And that silence forces a man to ask himself real questions. Why isn't she arguing? Is she tired? Did I push her too far? Is she shutting down because of me? Has she outgrown this version of me? These questions haunt him, not because you're punishing him, but because you're no longer entertaining the dysfunction he brought to the table. Your silence creates accountability without confrontation, growth without yelling, reflection without war. The irony is this: when you stop arguing, a man stops defending and starts listening. He starts noticing. He starts observing. He starts understanding you in a deeper way because your silence removes all the distractions. Now it's just him and the truth. And ladies, let me tell you something real straight. A peaceful woman is a rare woman, a woman who knows how to walk away from conflict instead of diving into it. That's feminine strength on a whole different level. That's emotional maturity. That's self-respect. That's power wrapped in grace. And you know what happens next? That silence becomes addictive to him, not because he likes the distance, but because he realizes how much he values your peace and how much he doesn't want to be the reason you lose it. It makes him want to step up, talk better, love deeper, treat you softer. Your silence becomes the mirror that shows him what he needs to fix. A woman who says, "I'm not arguing," is a woman who demands growth. And a man who doesn't want to lose her will rise to that challenge. Rule numb. Or 3, the "I'm focused on me" silence. Ladies, let me tell you something real clear. A woman who goes silent because she's focusing on herself is one of the most powerful forces a man will ever encounter. This kind of silence doesn't come from frustration, anger, or revenge. It comes from elevation. It comes from growth. It comes from the moment a woman looks at her life and says, "I want better, I deserve better, and I'm going to become better." And when a woman steps into that energy, Lord, the whole atmosphere around her changes. See, men get used to women pouring into them. They get used to being the center of your world, the priority, the purpose, the project. They get used to the constant emotional energy you give without even noticing they're receiving it. But when you shift that energy back into yourself, when you stop centering him and start centering you, that silence is transformational. It's like suddenly the sun starts rising in a different direction. Everything feels off to him. Everything feels unfamiliar. And that unfamiliar feeling, that's what makes him wake up, because your silence isn't cold. It's disciplined. It's intentional. While he thinks you're pulling away, what you're really doing is pulling up into a higher version of yourself. You're using your time to heal. You're using your energy to upgrade. You're using your quiet to build the life you deserve. And trust me, there is nothing more attractive, nothing more addictive to a man than a woman who's busy becoming her best self. Let's talk about this for a second. When you were always available, he didn't have to wonder about you. He didn't have to chase you. He didn't have to worry about someone else recognizing what he was taking for granted. But now your silence creates space. Space he didn't think he'd ever have to deal with. And let me tell you, space makes a man nervous. Becca, use space makes him imagine. And when a man starts imagining, he starts valuing. He starts wondering, what is she up to? Why isn't she texting like before? Why does she seem so calm? Why is she glowing? Why isn't she worried about me anymore? And the biggest one, who has her attention now? Your silence plants seeds of curiosity that grow into urgency. Because when you used to make him the center of your world, he never felt the weight of losing you. But when you shift your attention into your goals, your career, your health, your peace, he starts feeling that absence like a missing limb. He starts realizing he wasn't competing with another man. He was competing with your purpose. And that's a battle he can't ignore. And ladies, let's keep it all the way real. When a woman focuses on herself, her entire aura changes. She becomes more confident, more balanced, more beautiful, more radiant. And men notice that glow faster than they notice their own haircut. They don't know what changed, they just know something did. And the moment a woman starts glowing from the inside out, a man realizes she's leveling up, and he has to either catch up or get left behind. Nothing shakes a man more than seeing a woman doing fine without his attention. When he sees you smiling without his text, achieving without his encouragement, growing without his support, building without his presence, that silence hits him like a truck, because now he knows you weren't attached to him. You were attached to your own potential, and that potential is bigger than anything he thought he controlled. Your silence becomes your transformation, and transformation is magnetic. A woman who invests in herself becomes the kind of woman men chase, not because she needs them, but because she inspires them. A woman who's focused on her goals, her peace, her healing, her happiness, that woman becomes unforgettable. She becomes the woman he can't stop thinking about, because she's no longer standing still waiting for him. She's moving, she's rising, she's evolving. This silence teaches him a powerful lesson. He doesn't own your life. He doesn't control your time. He doesn't get to dictate your worth. You are your own priority, your own project, your own investment. And when you start taking care of yourself the way you used to take care of everyone else, that's when your value becomes crystal clear to him. A man becomes addicted to the woman who's focused on herself, not because she's ignoring him, but because she's becoming the highest version of who she's meant to be. And deep down, he knows that version won't settle. That version won't chase. That version won't accept the bare minimum. That version is a woman he has to earn. Rule number 4, the you can miss me silence. Ladies, let me tell you something that will shift your entire mindset. There is a certain silence a woman gives that a man can't ignore, can't shake off, can't forget, can't replace, and can't run from. It's not the silence of punishment. It's not the silence of attitude. It's not the silence of manipulation. No. This is the silence that says, you can miss me. And when a woman steps into that silence, a man feels it in his spirit. This silence happens when you finally understand your own worth, when you realize you don't have to scream for attention, beg for consistency, or chase commitment. It's the moment you stop giving unlimited access to someone who treats you like an option. The moment you stop showing up for someone who doesn't meet you halfway. The moment you stop pouring your love into someone who gives you drops of effort. That's when your silence becomes loud. Men notice absence quicker than presence. When you were there every day, texting, calling, checking in, worrying, giving love, he never thought twice about it. You were consistent, you were dependable, you were available, you were present. But the human heart rarely values what it thinks is guaranteed. And men, we are especially guilty of that. But the day you stop showing up, the day you fall quiet, the day you stop reminding him you care, that's the day a man gets hit with reality like a brick, because absence doesn't whisper, it roars. And nothing shakes a man more than the realization that he is no longer the center of your world. Your silence tells him without any attitude or anger, you don't get to enjoy the parts of me you didn't respect. And that hurts deeper than any argument you could have had. Silence makes him sit alone with the consequences of his actions. And trust me, consequences speak louder than your words ever could. A man can ignore your text. He can ignore your feelings. He can ignore your expectations. He can ignore your reminders. But what he can't ignore is your disappearance. When you go silent, he starts replaying everything in his mind. When did she start acting different? What did I do wrong? Why isn't she blowing up my phone anymore? Is she talking to someone else? Does she not love me the same? Did I lose her? And that's when the truth hits him. He took your effort for granted. The you can miss me silence isn't about punishing him. It's about protecting you. It's about reclaiming your peace, your energy, your dignity. It's the moment you tell the universe, I'm done chasing love that refuses to meet me. I'm done giving to someone who doesn't pour back. I'm done showing up for someone who doesn't show appreciation. And that energy, that shift, that quiet strength, men feel that. They feel it in your tone. They feel it in your vibe. They feel it in the distance. They feel it when you stop initiating. They feel it when you stop being accessible. They feel it when they reach out and realize you're not there like before. This silence is powerful because it shows him something no argument ever could, that you are capable of walking away, that you are capable of choosing yourself, that you are capable of living without his attention, that you are capable of rebuilding your life without his presence, that you are not afraid to let go of what hurts you. And the truth is, men fall in love in your absence just as much as in your presence, sometimes even more. Because when he can no longer feel your warmth, your care, your love, your energy, that's when he realizes how much they meant to him. Your quiet becomes the mirror reflecting his behavior. Your distance becomes the reminder of what he lost. Your silence becomes the teacher he should have listened to earlier. And here's the real beauty of it. When you give a man the chance to miss you, you give him the chance to value you. You give him the chance to step up. You give him the chance to make a choice, either grow or lose you forever. But it's in that silence, your silence, that he finally sees what he could not see when you were handing him everything, your loyalty, your time, your heart, your presence. A man becomes addicted to the woman whose silence makes him realize, I had something rare, something real, and I might have just pushed it away. That's the you can miss me silence. The silence that doesn't chase, the silence that doesn't beg, the silence that isn't angry, the silence that simply says, if you can't value me while I'm here, you can feel my absence when I'm gone. Rule number 5, the I choose respect, not drama, silence. Ladies, listen to me right now, because this one right here is a game changer. When a woman stops feeding drama and starts choosing respect, especially self-respect, her silence becomes one of the most powerful statements a man will ever experience. This silence doesn't come with yelling, doesn't come with threats, doesn't come with slammed doors or blown up phones. No, this type of silence comes with maturity, dignity, and emotional intelligence. And that is the kind of silence that shakes a man to the core. Here's the truth most men will never admit. Drama gives a man a place to hide. If you're screaming, he can focus on your tone, not your message. If you're arguing, he can call you emotional. If you're crying, he can pretend you're overreacting. Drama becomes a distraction from accountability. But silence removes all escape routes. Silence forces him to face himself. Silence exposes the truth he tried to dodge. Silence makes his wrongs louder than your words ever could. When a woman chooses respect over drama, she rises above the chaos. She stops trying to win arguments and starts valuing her peace. She stops trying to convince someone of her worth and starts honoring herself. She stops trying to fix someone's behavior and starts fixing her boundaries. In that shift, that calmness, that stillness, oh, a man feels that immediately. Men don't expect silence. They expect reaction. They expect emotional fireworks. They expect you to fight for clarity, fight for attention, fight for answers. When you don't, when you simply take a breath, step back, and refuse to dance in chaos, that silence hits harder than any explosion ever could, because now he can't say you were too much. He can't say you were dramatic. He can't blame your emotions. All he sees is your dignity. All he feels is your absence. All he hears is the echo of his own behavior. Your silence says, without ever speaking, I refuse to lose my self-respect trying to teach you how to treat me. That right there, that's power. That's grown woman energy. That's emotional strength, not weakness. A woman who can stay calm in chaos, quiet in disrespect, and peaceful in storms is a woman a man learns to fear losing because she's no longer reacting. She's deciding. And when a woman starts deciding instead of reacting, she becomes unstoppable. This type of silence isn't passive. It's purposeful. It is you saying, I won't entertain arguments that go nowhere. I won't match disrespect with disrespect. I won't fight to be understood by someone who refuses to listen. I won't throw away my peace to fix someone who's comfortable in dysfunction. I won't shrink myself to make room for someone else's chaos. And that calm refusal to engage, that's what finally exposes the imbalance in the relationship, because now he sees the contrast. Your respect makes his disrespect stand out. Your calmness makes his chaos obvious. Your maturity highlights his immaturity. Your silence forces him to reflect. Often for the first time, a man will start asking himself questions he never considered before. Why isn't she arguing back? Why didn't she respond to that? Why is she so calm? Am I the problem? What did I just do? And the biggest one, am I about to lose her? Your silence becomes the mirror he never wanted to look into. It's the reflection of how he's treated you. It's the reflection of the effort he didn't give. It's the reflection of the boundaries he crossed. And when he sees that reflection clearly, it scares him because now he knows you're no longer participating in dysfunction. Choosing respect over drama doesn't just elevate you, it challenges him. It subtly communicates, if you want access to me, you must rise to my level. I'm not coming down to yours. And suddenly, he's the one adjusting. He's the one calming down. He's the one trying to communicate better. He's the one trying to fix the problem instead of ignore it. Because let me tell you something. Men get addicted to women who carry themselves with grace. Men fall for women who don't fight dirty. Men crave women who prioritize peace. Men respect women who won't allow themselves to be emotionally dragged into the mud. And the quieter you get, the louder your standards become. A woman who chooses respect over drama becomes unforgettable, not because she's silent, but because her silence speaks with a clarity that cannot be mistaken. I value myself. If you can't value me too, you'll feel the distance. Rule number 6, the if you want me, prove I T silence. Let me tell you something powerful, something so many women forget in the heat of emotions, expectations, and disappointment. Your silence is not always emptiness. Sometimes it is a test, and not a petty test, not a manipulative test, but a test of effort, intent, and investment. Because here's the truth. Men don't value what's handed to them on a silver platter. They value what they've worked for, stepped up for, and proved themselves worthy of. This silence, this if you want me, prove it silence. Oh, this one is a game changer. This is the silence that draws a line in the sand, not loudly, not emotionally, not angrily. It's the silence that says, I know my worth. And if you see it too, you're going to have to act like it. There comes a point in every connection where a woman gets tired of being the only one initiating, tired of being the one checking in first, tired of being the one asking, are you free? Tired of being the one carrying the emotional weight, tired of excuses, tired of potential, tired of promises with no follow through. And instead of blowing up his phone, instead of giving speeches, instead of begging for effort, instead of reminding him what he should be doing, she goes quiet. Not cold, not mean, not distant in a spiteful way, just quiet. A silence rooted in, if you want this, you know what to do. This silence forces a man to face something he often avoids, reflection. When a woman who truly gave warmth suddenly isn't available in the same way, it hits different. When she's not the one filling the gaps in his effort, it hits his ego first, and then it hits his heart. Men notice the absence of what they once took for granted. They feel the shift. They sense the change, and they know instantly, whether they admit it or not, that the ball isn't in your court anymore, it's in theirs. This silence makes a man ask himself real, uncomfortable questions. Do I really want her? Am I willing to try for her? Why haven't I stepped up? Am I okay losing her? What would another man do if she gave him the chance? And let me tell you, there's no motivational speaker, no best friend, no cousin, no gym session, no podcast that pushes a man like the fear of losing a woman he genuinely wants. See, the mistake most women make is thinking they have to remind a man why he should treat them right. Baby, you don't need to explain your worth. You walk in your worth, and your silence gives that worth space to breathe. If you want me, prove it. Silence is not a threat. It's not punishment. It's not revenge. It's a standard. It's a doorway. It's an invitation for him to show up or step back. Because here's a secret. A man who wants you will always move towards you. A man who doesn't will always give excuses. And your silence exposes which one he is. And the beauty of this silence, you're not demanding anything. You're not nagging. You're not chasing. You're not fighting for bare minimum energy. You're simply allowing him to show his true colors without interference. If he cares, he'll call. If he values you, he'll check in. If he sees your worth, he'll adjust. If he wants you, he'll show effort. The right man doesn't lose a woman he wants. He works for her. A man becomes addicted to a woman who lets him earn her, not a woman who gives herself to him without requiring anything in return. And here's where the magic really kicks in. When you go silent after giving effort, love, warmth, communication, and patience, that silence feels different to him. It has weight, it has meaning, it has impact, because he knows deep down this silence isn't about punishment, it's about self-respect. This silence says, I'm not asking you to be perfect, I'm asking you to show up. This silence says, I'm not desperate for attention, I'm deserving of intention. This silence says, I won't beg you to care. Show me that you do. This silence says, I won't argue for my value. Act like you see it. And here's the irony. When you stop trying to convince a man to pick you, that's when he realizes the privilege of having you. That's when he starts remembering the little things he ignored. That's when he starts replaying your conversations, rereading your messages, revisiting your photos, retracing where he slipped. The if you want me, prove it silence puts responsibility back where it belongs, in his hands. And if he truly wants you, he will rise to the occasion. He will step into effort. He will match your energy. He will protect the connection. He will take the lead. And if he doesn't, your silence just saved you from wasting more time. A woman who knows her worth is silent in a different way. Not defeated, not bitter, not waiting. She's centered. She's patient. She's evaluating. And she's making room for a love that doesn't need to be chased because it shows up willingly. This is the silence that makes a man addicted, because it forces him to do the one thing men avoid until their feelings are real. Put in effort, take action, prove it. And once a man steps into that role, once he chooses to show up, once he realizes you're not a woman he can afford to lose, baby, that's when everything changes, because silence didn't push him away. It pulled the truth out of him. Ladies, let me close this out with something I need you to carry in your heart from this moment forward. Your silence is not weakness. It is wisdom. It is strategy. It is self-respect in its purest form. The kind of silence we talked about today is not about ignoring a man, hurting a man, or playing childish games. No, it is about choosing yourself in spaces where your voice has been ignored, your effort taken for granted, and your heart stretched too thin. Silence is powerful because it gives you back control. Control over your emotions, your energy, your dignity, and your peace. It shifts the dynamic from chasing to choosing, from reacting to observing, from explaining to expecting. And when a woman moves that way, when she stands in her worth without saying a single word, a man feels it deeply. See, real men are moved by action, not arguments. They are drawn to standards, not speeches. They respond to distance more than demands. And your silence, the right kind of silence, is what reveals whether he was teased truly invested, or simply entertained. If he wants you, he will come forward. If he values you, he will adjust. If he sees your worth, he will act like it. And if he doesn't, your silence becomes protection, pulling you away from someone who was never going to give you the love you deserved in the first place. So as you walk forward, remember this: you are not hard to love. You are not asking for too much. You are simply asking for the right man to show up. And the right man will never be scared of your silence. He'll be motivated by it. He'll step up for it. He'll rise to meet it, because a woman who knows her worth is a woman a man never wants to lose.